G'day, everybody. You're joining us today for a product walkthrough of an amazing app that loads and loads of our clients and loads of our community use and love, which is the Tradify app. Tradify is a job management tool that loads of the trade community use to basically streamline the administration within their business. And I'm joined today by Mick from Tradify. Mick, g'day, g'day.
G'day, Matt. How you getting on, mate?
Very well, very well. Thank you for your time today. This is going to be great because, as I said, we've got a lot of people in our community that absolutely rave about Tradify, and then we've got a whole bunch of people that are always asking questions about different tools, job management softwares, project management softwares, task management softwares, so on and so forth. So I really, the purpose of this call, the purpose of this recording, I should say, is really just to give a bit of an overview, a bit of insight to any of the, for any of you guys out there that might be watching this, considering adopting some new technology within your business. Sure, you probably heard Tradify, the name thrown around a lot, but maybe you're not quite sure about what it can and can't do. Mick's going to run through a bit of an overview as to some of the power behind this app and some of the cool things that it does. Are we going to do both? Are we going to look at it from a phone and from a desktop, or is it just going to be desktop today?
Well, I figured I would start from the desktop and then look at bringing in probably the iPad, to be honest, because the layout's slightly different, but it's a bit easier to see on the screen share with the iPad. The phone's really simple as well and self-intuitive, so if you can do one, you can do all of them.
Yeah, great. And so for you guys that are keen on this, and if you do want to do a trial of Tradify, and I thoroughly encourage you to go and check it out if you haven't yet, there's a pretty cool offer that the guys at Tradify have got for you guys over at the site Shed. And if you just drop in the code that you will see right now on the screen, when you head to the apply page, or if you head across to the App Store and download the app. So either, it might be the Apple App Store, or perhaps it's Google Play or whatever you use on your phone. Download the app, and at the sign up process there, you can enter that code and you can get yourselves a lovely discount for 3 months, 50% off. So that's a pretty good incentive. If managing all of your admin is not a big enough incentive, there's another incentive.
100%.
All right, so I think, Nick, what I'm probably going to do is just hand this over to you. Obviously, you're the expert here. I'm a bit of a novice, so I'll let you run with this conversation, and I might just ask some questions along the way, if that's okay.
Not a problem at all, Matt. I'll just pull up the screen for us.
Sure.
So as you already mentioned, the key thing for us is to simplify processes, make life easier, reduce admin time, all the things that basically you don't want to be spending all your time doing. It's costing you time, which costs you money, and you could either be spending time there with your family, your friends, or actually outgrowing your business and making more money. So everything that's behind the Tradify platform is about speeding up that process, remove double handling, and just give you better transparency over what you're doing on the day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year of the business. And the first place we start with that really is the dashboard, which is your go-to for every single day. We've got an overview of every single job that's booked in for that day. If you've got multiple teams in multiple different places and you're running the business, you'll be able to see where they all are. Your teams themselves will have their My Job section, which means they'll see where they are without confusing each other and getting the jobs mixed up. Within that, on the right-hand side, we've also got a list of how many jobs we've got on for today and the total number of hours that's going to take, and then the same for tomorrow. And we can click through that and just get a nice list overview that's got all the information you need as a business owner, having a glance and seeing where things are at for the day.
So, Nick, just to interrupt, is that a glance per user, or is that for the entire organization, or can it be broken down into both?
So you can filter every single job list by what's active, what's not active, who the customer is, what the dates are, who's actually booked in for it. The system's really flexible and giving you access to look at everything that you want to see. Great. To a surprisingly granular level.
Great.
With that as well, every single job that appears on this left-hand side here, providing that you have actually got the correct address, which is obviously key to getting out to the job and getting things done, it will populate in the map on the right-hand side. That way you can see where you're going. So if you need to send different parts of the team to different places at different time, it's really easy to be flexible because you get the information at your fingertips. And that'll also pull up the directions for your team as well.
Cool.
Down at the bottom, for the boss only, we've got a nice overview of everything that's happening with the business in terms of what invoices are there waiting to go, what invoices are paid, what aren't, who do you need to chase up and actually get some money from. where your quotes are at. Obviously, the quicker we get our quotes out, the more jobs we win, more money we make, better for the business. And then the same across our purchase orders and our bills. Now, we do integrate with a couple of different systems at the moment, which is something really cool. And we'll touch on that a bit more, but our invoices and our bills, obviously really important when it comes to our accounting side of things. So we have a way of kind of dealing with that for you and just taking that responsibility away and allowing it to handle itself. So we run from inquiry to invoice and into the accounting system, which is the integration. The inquiry system allows you to either place a form on your website or Facebook page or whatever it is that you use, or take advantage of a forwarding email address, which is unique to your Tradify account. So there's a few options there. And what we want that to do is start capturing that customer information as quickly as humanly possible. We don't want you to have to write it out as many times as possible. We want it to be there once, you never have to do it again. And with the integration into the accounting systems, of which we have QuickBooks, Xero, MYOB, and Sage in the UK, that customer information can be shared. That way you've always got it in both places at once.
And I know offline I was asking you about integrations, and having that forwarding email may even solve the problem that we're looking, because a lot of our guys obviously are pretty active in the marketing space. And so, they're using a lot of email marketing tools, things like that. So that would potentially even answer that question. We'll have to
100%. And what's even cool about that as well, so not just that inquiry section, I'll show you as well, there's a little update that happens throughout the quotes and the invoices as well in terms of customer interaction, which is really cool. So I'll jump into the quote section from here.
Sure.
Now, we want everything to be easy. We want it to be straightforward. And we're focusing on building a quote that is functional here. And I think that's one of the key points about our system. Everything's built to be functional for the day-to-day life of tradies, construction workers, electricians, plumbers. Like, this is built to make your life easier. So no matter where you go, you can generally do something you would do in another section. So for example, in the quote, we can create a new customer straight away without having them in the system or having them through inquiries. And that's the same with the job or the invoice. But we will just do a quick search for ease and grab one that we've got. We can have as many different sites for the guys who are doing commercial and civil work, or even real estate property management kind of thing, where you can jump in whatever location you need to be there, add it on, select it, and then we've got...
okay, I see. So if you had like a customer who might have been a strata partner, a strata manager, and they have a list of properties, you can enter the individual properties in there under the one customer.
Exactly. And that gives you the choice of contacting the strata manager or contacting the actual client themselves. So it makes it really flexible there too.
Smart.
We've got our pricing levels, which are our markup for materials and our billing rates. And those can be set to default across different customers as well. So if you've got commercial work versus residential work, you're charging different amounts, it's automatically going to pull that through. Standard things like quote dates and expiry dates, any references you need to add, and then the all-important document themes. So more and more it's becoming important for tradies how the documents, the quotes, the invoices, the purchase orders look when they actually get received by the clients. The world has changed in terms of that marketing side that you already mentioned, so things need to reflect their business correctly. So with that in mind, the document themes allows you to have multiple different versions of how things will look when they arrive with a customer. So your commercial customers can receive something different from your residential customers.
Okay.
So it's a real handy one to have. And if we need to build a new one on the go, we can do it while we're in here.
Cool. And so is there like a library or something the guys can get templates from, or is that to design them themselves?
So generally, most businesses are bringing it to themselves based on what they've already been sending to customers. If you think of this as a way of taking all those emails, all those forms you've sent off and going, okay, what's the best of what I had?
Sure.
Right, let's make the best version of it and then never have to change it again unless the urge takes us to do something new.
Sure.
And once they're in there, they never leave unless you choose to. And then we'll just jump down. So we've got a description. Now I'm going to run this for an installation of an AC unit on this particular demo run. We can have obviously as much or as little information in here as we like. It's fully formatable. You can do it as pretty or as simple as you please. We've got our tax down the right hand side, and then it would be all important actually building the quote. So we start by adding a line item for hours, and we've got 4 different options. The first one is time, which is your labor costs. Pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. We've got different billing rates that we can set for charging out there across different staff members. So let's leave that one on standard. and then we'll just up the quantity to 8 in this case. Now, our unit cost is your staff's hourly rate, and then we've got the sale price for the client, the gross profit that gives you. So we're starting to break down that kind of profit margin for you, so you can see what this job is actually worth to you at the quoting stage really easily. And then I'm going to split this in and just add in a section that is going to be clearing for this particular job. And the reason I'm adding the section in is because you can do something really cool with it when you actually get to the job card that, again, just reduces admin time and streamlines the process. Drop that in there, subtotal for the section, and then overall totals starting to populate down at the bottom. The next one we want to go for is our price list item. Now, price list items are a mix of materials from your suppliers or any kind of cost that you put in yourself. So like call out charges, for example, that you might have in there. And with your supplier, we want to upload the actual supplier price list as often as possible, because it means your costing is super accurate. And that's really easy to update that information as you go when their price changes as well, because it focuses on matching things like item codes.
And is that just through like a standard CSV file or?
Exactly, standard CSV file. Now we can just do a little search in here for whatever we need. It will pull up a complete list of everything. Oh, we can pull through from the likes of Xero, MYOB, QuickBooks, anything you've already got stored on there. Again, reduce as much of that admin. Nobody wants to be sitting there copying out a list they've already got 500 items into a new system. So if we can avoid that, we will. So just grab one of them, pop that into the section, and add that on. And again, that total is updated here as well as the bottom one. Now, the next part, in my opinion, is one of the coolest things about the quote. It's called a kit. Now, there are loads of guys out there who are doing very similar types of project as they go from job to job to job. Like the plumber, for example, is doing the same plumbing everywhere with the same materials. It takes roughly the same time. It just changes to quantities that really matter when he's doing that. So this is designed to speed up that entire process. So it's a combination package of materials, call out fees, and labor that's been pre-built based on what you guys do regularly. We jump in, grab in this case the AC unit install.
So this is almost kind of like a flat rate book.
Yeah, exactly. But we can make changes to it as well. So everything in the quote can be adjusted once it's in there.
Sure.
I'm going to add this to a second section and call it the installation and just drop that on. So what the customer is going to see when this comes through is just Mitsubishi AC unit plus installation, that it's one quantity and what the amount is. What you can do though is go, okay, the front unit and the back unit are actually going to be further away than we anticipated from the connection point. We're just going to go in and we're going to adjust the cabling that we need for that.
Okay.
Or it's going to take us a bit longer to do that, so the labor has to go up. But it means everything's already there and you're not building it every single time that you go to do, in this case, an installation.
And they don't necessarily see the breakdown, they just see the final quantity.
Exactly. And I'll show you how that looks for them as well. So everything's totaled up down the bottom right for us. We've got our quote reminders enabled. So Tradify system will chase your customers for you for those quotes. We want them to approve it just as much as you want them to approve it. So we will chase them at least 4 times when that's selected to get that result. The terms at the bottom is pulled directly from that document theme I mentioned earlier on, but you can jump in and make changes to that. You don't have to leave it exactly as it is, and it won't affect the master copy. And then we got notes. Now, anywhere anyone sees a note section in our system, I cannot stress this enough, you can upload files, images, videos, take signatures. That's the key point for all that information.
Okay, so if you guys are out on site, and a lot of guys I know do this, they get their technicians to take photographs of the area or something just for compliance reasons and so on and so forth. Is that where that would happen?
Exactly. So there's notes throughout the system. You'll be able to see them crop up.
Sure. Okay. So they could do all that from their phone
100%.
or tablet. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I just jump on and do a little preview of this for us. There we go. So it's a real simple layout on this particular quote. We've got a header at the top for the business logo, colors and design with the contact details, any business address details that you want to add on there, plus the quote and customer information. And then we've got the actual layout. So if you'll notice here, we've got the sections showing. We can hide those. They don't have to be there. That can just be for your reference. We have the labor and the item in here with the subtotals. Again, without sections, those will just come as a straight set of line items. And then the kit has just kind of singled itself out as just the kit with the total. Now, we can completely adjust this. We can have the tax in between the quantity and the amount. We can have the cost amount in there. It's entirely up to you how much or how little information you show. It's your quote. Do what you want with it, basically. All right, so once we are happy with that, we are going to approve it so that no more changes can be made. And we are going to send it off to the customer with the email button. Now, I mentioned earlier on there was something quite cool that happens through the quotes and through the invoices once you start sending out the emails. So the first thing we've got in here is we've got the customer, a pre-populated message that we've created in our email templates. That way we don't have to type out again. We can attach any files here from the quote or from your computer. I'm just going to send that off. And I'm going to grab a copy of that just in case we disappear. And I'm going to reload this page for us. Now I send that email off, and now at the very bottom of the page, things are started to update. So we've got that the email has been sent to this particular email account. That will then update that that email has been received by that email account, that the email's been opened, that the quote's been viewed, that comments have been left. So you'll have that activity of the customer actually looking at the quote.
Sure, log. Yeah, activity log, love it.
So once they're happy, they will easily accept, and it will prompt us to move on and actually create a job from this quote. So obviously everyone does slightly different between how they quote and how they charge. So you've got some people who are doing hard quotes and that's what they're charging through. Other people are back costing as they go. So the system's designed to allow for them to do it whichever way they like. But the first thing it's going to do is copy the customer information, including the site address through, so that you don't have to write any of that out anywhere ever again. And that's completely accessible through the mobile app, the tablet app, the desktop for whoever needs to be across it. We've got the task section below, which we can build them as we go for whatever we need, attach staff members to them, create a due date, and put estimated costs. But because we created those sections within the quote, if we copy them directly through, we now have a list of stages for this job that need to be completed, including the estimated cost associated with them.
Okay.
So we can now track not only how our gross profit is, but you can track how much money we're making across each part, like who's doing the work at the speed and rate they need to do it, so that the business can actually keep making money and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Standard contact information for the customer and the site, and then some custom information specific to the customers themselves. So you can edit these headings here and have whatever you want in there. Fire the job card off to some tradies, subbies, apologies, and schedule in your staff so they know there's a job coming up. Set your staff on the job. So I'm just going to save this.
So you could assign staff, or you could send it to a subcontractor.
Yeah, exactly. And that way, with that, it's not going to tell them a specific day or anything because we haven't scheduled it yet. It just means that they know this job is coming up and these are the kind of things they're going to be doing.
Oh, okay.
So I'll jump in and I'll schedule it. Now, our scheduler is as simple as a Google Calendar, to be honest, in terms of how it works. You can find the day you want, click there, and it'll bring up the options for the schedule itself. We've got the start date, the start time and finish time. Let's just make that something reasonable for
Does it integrate with Google Calendars or anything like that?
There is a little thing that's just popped up on the Tradify FAQ that does mention Google Calendar integration. And we are currently testing to finalize that. So I would expect you to see something really cool appearing very
Yeah, I know a lot of guys
shortly.
are really starting to dial in their Google Calendars.
Yeah. And with everything that's been happening recently, knowing where everyone's going to be and when they're going to be available is really important.
Yeah.
So this works really simple. As I say, you'll be able to see in that instance where you can and can't book someone in. We'll grab the task for clearing, assign it to a particular staff member. In this case, we're just going to grab me. We can fire that off to the subcontractors if we want to book them in that day, add any notes for the staff and the team, and send a confirmation to the customer. Now, the beautiful thing about sending the first confirmation to the customer is anytime anything happens, anytime anything has to be moved, the system can then send a follow-up email telling them that there's been a change to the booking. So if I grab that one there and move it from the 15th to the 16th, system is automatically going to ask us to email the customer and let them know. So again, we just want to remove some of those steps so that if something like COVID happens and you have to jump in and you have to move all of your bookings really, really quickly, it's really, really easy to do so and to inform the customer.
Right.
You'll then have a breakdown of everyone who's booked in that job on this left-hand side. And if we jump back in, you'll have it with their task and times that are booked on as well.
And so, do the permission settings enable the individual workers or technicians to view like their own calendars or the whole team's calendars, or how does that look?
So everyone
if I'm jumping the gun here, just reel me in.
No, you're all good. I mean, everyone will have a certain amount of visibility in terms of where they're going to be and who's in where. There won't be financial details, for example,
Right.
or any of the rates, the kind of rate options that are going to pop up on mine as I'm doing things because I'm as an admin.
Right.
But they will be able to see who they're scheduled on with, for example.
That makes sense.
The next option we have comes in under the costs. So with the cost, you've got a couple of ways you can do this. You can add on the exact same ways you did with the quote as you go, as things come through, or we can literally copy that information directly from the quote or directly from a bill. So you can make your purchases directly through your suppliers here, convert those purchases into bills, and then those bills will go into the likes of Xero automatically, so you don't have to worry about sending them through to your accountant. It's already done, and then we can add that on to the cost. But in this case, we're just going to go straight from the quote.
So what's a bill?
So a bill would be the equivalent of an invoice from your supplier.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Yeah.
You get so used to saying the same terms over and over again, you forget sometimes. So I'll grab the quote and pull the info through. Now, because we're in the cost section, it's not actually going to pull through any of the labor details. That gets pulled in under the time section, and that's from an estimate. So see here, we've got all the materials that are going to be in there, plus the call out charge under miscellaneous. And that includes every material that was under the kit itself. And they're red because we've yet to invoice for them. To put time through, we've got a couple of different options here. Now on the app, this is really cool, and I will show you on the app, there's a big massive green button that makes life really, really easy for your staff not to forget their timesheets, because how annoying is that? But we'll start with the new timesheet entry button here. Really standard, really easy. Start time, finish time. They can assign any tasks they've been working on as well. Again, this billing rate is only visible to me because I'm an admin right now. Any notes of what they did on the job, and then hit OK. Again, red, still to be invoiced. Down the bottom hand corner, we've got an update on the cost versus the profit on there. And you get to decide the rounding on that as well. So that's set up by you. When is it going to round up to a full hour? Your call. The next option is this little clock symbol, which again, I'll show you on the app. It's a big green button. If your tradies are missing it, if your staff are missing it, then they'll find it because it's the first thing you see on the job card. So we'll jump on, we hit start. Yeah, we wanted to record some time for the day. We're on site doing the installation, let it run. And that means the entire time your tradies on that job, working that task, that time's just clocking up for you automatically. If you're not paying for them any breaks, hit the pause button, have the half-an-hour break, start it back up until they finish the day, and then stop it. And that again just breaks down for you in this bottom right hand side.
Lovely.
So if we jump in, I'll just pull up on the app just now. I'm just going to pause the screen share for 1 second while I do that for you. Because the app itself is fantastic. It has so much that it can do when you're working alongside the desktop system, and you can log into either or. There's no limitations in terms of where you want to be and what you got to do that day. If you're out working through in the field and then you jump into the office, it's just jump straight on to the new system, and that's you're good to go. So let's grab that there. Okay.
And everything that you just did then, can you essentially do that from the road? Like, could you do it on a job through the app?
100%. So there's nothing that we've done so far that you can't do on any of the apps on any of the devices across iOS or Android.
And just going back to permission settings, do you have sort of So obviously, if you've got like a field manager or something like that who needs to see where all the workers are, you create like a certain profile which enables them to achieve that, as opposed to the
One,
guys, there's the technicians
yeah,
themselves.
100%. And that's something that you, for once, you're jumping ahead, Matt. You were awesome up until
Okay.
now. But no, that's definitely something we'll go into just in a little bit. But I want to show you quickly the app. So if you ignore the standard Apple stuff that's popped up there, we've got a couple of notifications from the system that have come through. And that's based on the way that our login has been set up. So we get notifications either via email or via app push.
Right.
As you can see here, we've been scheduled for that appointment that we booked into this particular job. We can click through on that.
So we're viewing this from an Apple iPad, yeah?
Yes, we are.
And if we're not Apple users, will it work across device?
Any device, any Android device, any Apple device, it will work on.
Okay.
It's really, really smooth. The layout is exactly the same on both, so you're not going to get confused jumping from one to the other.
Cool.
We're jumping through that straight to the job we've been scheduled on, and that way we can see exactly where we're meant to be, what the job is, and where we're going. If I open that job, you notice the big green button is start timer. It's there to make sure that it can't be missed. So across the top there, we've got our standard menu with the jobs, the notes, time, cost, and things like that. A navigate option for the Google Map integration, email, calling, which goes through your own call function. But that start timer is the be all, end all of what you want your guys running, because that's going to keep everything on cost and easy to track.
I bet there's users out there right now that are watching this going, the button needs to be bigger. Needs a siren or something.
100%. And I mean, look, if it does happen to begin with that someone starts the timer and doesn't stop it and it runs for the day, you can adjust it. As the admin, you can make those changes to fix it, and then give them a kick up the back end until he stops doing it wrong.
Right.
Nice and easy. And then again, that stop timer, pause timer is massive, really easy to see, really difficult to miss. And we'll just resume and stop that there. So nothing's different, nothing's complicated. The layout's changed slightly, but all the other features are exactly the same. And if we wanted to, we could even go in and build the invoice for this job from the iPad. So we've got our costs in there, we've done our schedule, we've now done the work. We jump into the invoice, new invoice, and we've got a few choices. So you can pull it directly from everything that's been added to the system as you go. So all the costs you've added, all the labor time that's been recorded to the timesheet section. You can do it directly from the quote, which will allow you to basically do a hard quote. That's the price, that's what we're doing. It'll also allow you to do part payments from there. So progress payments, percentages, single line items, whatever you need. Build it from scratch with miscellaneous, or you can have a template for that quote. So if you're working with a company and doing monthly invoices for the same kind of work all the time, you can just have that pull straight up and send through.
Oh, okay.
I will.
So would that be like a scheduled maintenance kind of situation, perhaps?
That could be exactly it. And with the scheduled maintenance as well, we also have the option for recurring jobs, where once you've made the first one, you set it to run every month, every couple of weeks, every 6 months. That job will populate, book itself, and assign a staff member.
Cool.
Automation is the name of the game, as it were. So I'll grab from the quote in this instance.
I mean, that's super handy, because a lot of the guys out there that are doing like recurring block drains or garden maintenance or, those sort of things, maybe even electrical tagging, like
yeah,
it just takes the guesswork and the human error factor out of it.
It's not just that, it's if you think about how much time you actually spend logging the same appointment week in, or month in, that takes up a lot of time. And if that's the crux of your business is repeat appointments, that's a lot of time you're paying someone just to do the same data entry over and over again every single month. So if we can remove as much of that as possible, fantastic. And that's the same with recurring invoices as well.
I'm probably going to jump the gun again here, but like with those recurring jobs, is the client get notified on scheduled times and that kind of stuff?
So everything runs as normal. So everything is set up to run the exact same way. It's just the system's doing it for you. Okay. So the same way you would be notified of a job if we did it one at a time, all the same notifications run through.
Great.
So no one's missing any appointments.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm just going to grab the entire quote from here. And it's given us a couple of options. So we can, first of all, we can group the section lines into a single line, and we can keep the kits together as a single line so that it's really straightforward for the customer to understand what's coming through. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit next. Oops, I forgot to select my quote. Hit next. And that's another thing, you can have multiple quotes on any job card. So if you're having to make revisions, if new work's being added onto the job, you don't need a new job card. You don't need to start everything from scratch. You just add a new quote in there as well.
So that might be a variation or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So within this invoice now, we've got everything we need. So all the description, customer details is pulled through automatically. We've got all the material costs and the labor and our kit in there for the AC install. The subtotal is a breakdown of everything. The option to turn on our payment reminders, which works the exact same as the quote reminders by contacting them on a regular basis, chasing that payment for you. And we also have an option within the system to add payments through Stripe credit card payments. Now, that is a third-party system. So we run at a flat rate, which is $39 per month for the system, per user. The only additional cost with our system is through using Stripe payment, and that's a 1.95% depending on where you are. So for Australia, that's what it sits at.
But that essentially enables you to take payment on site.
Essentially, most of the time it's going to be through the actual invoice when it's been sent through, because it's generated once the invoice sends through the email system. It's attached to the invoice, but essentially you could have it pulled through, hand them over the device with the payment page, and get them to put it through there and then if that's what you wanted to do. But Stripe also has their own account that you set up with them, which will allow you to take payments on the day as well.
So if somebody's watching this and they want their team members, and they should, to take payment on site on completion of a job, do they need to have the Stripe integration, or can they just do it through the Tradify app?
You'd have to have the Stripe integration.
Okay, sure.
For the moment, that might change.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Stripe's amazing. We use it religiously, so it's super easy to set up.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you guys have got the experience with it then, because that kind of helps back up what we're saying here. I mean, once it's done, every quote that you send off, you'll have the option, invoice you send off, you'll have the option of taking that payment directly. And with Stripe, you get the choice of either absorbing that fee yourself or placing it on the customer's end. And if you do place it on the customer's end, it will be written in black and white how much they're paying you and how much is going to Stripe. So there's no surprise and no, you're trying to get something extra from me.
Sure.
We've also got down here,
And I would advise viewers out there to always build those costs into your total pricing. It's my advice.
With that as well, so everything that goes through on this invoice is going to pull through into our accounting systems. So the Xero, MYOB, QuickBooks, and Sage. For the UK, that's Sage. So once this has been approved, that draft will automatically appear on that side as well. Which means if you are taking your payment through Xero, for example, which is a really cool sync feature, those payments from Xero will also show up as being paid in Tradify, removing the need to update anything on this side. Plus, when they receive the invoice, they'll have the option to mark it as paid.
Great.
But that includes the progress payments that come through under that add payment section. And again, we can add any notes as well to send through on the system.
So it essentially does the reconciling for you. You just got to go in there and hit the green button in Xero.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's brilliant.
And again, once we're happy, we approve it. And it's ready to be emailed off to the customer.
I mean, that's a huge time saver as well. Even having that green match integration set up, that's brilliant.
It's a really cool feature, and the integration with Xero, because it's so strong, it's very quick.
Yeah, sure.
The speed's amazing. So I'm going to jump back onto the desktop version at the moment. Did you have any questions or insights that you want to pop on for me? Just
it's pretty straightforward.
Always nice to show. No worries. Let's show that again.
I'm actually surprised at how clean and crisp the mobile version is. It's almost easier to follow than the desktop.
Yeah, it's really nice laid out. And with the app, it's so easy to use that there's no reason why you shouldn't be using that app on the go when you're out and about. You're trying to free up your time, grow the business. You don't want to be stuck in the office sitting behind the laptop for 8 hours a day or 8 hours a night when you're supposed to finish the work. You want to be able to jump around, fire off that invoice as you go and know that it's sorted.
Yeah, and that's kind of a pitch, right? Like it's sort of keep you out, get the time you spend in the office back.
Exactly. Yeah, it's helping tradies get their nights back has always been the saying from Kurt, who invented the system,
Right.
and it stands true. Like, get your night back, spend it with your family, get the time back to grow your business, whatever's important to you. That's what we're trying to create here.
Sure.
So where invoice has been done, everything's been sent off. Let's get that to update for me. Upload. Everything's sent off. We are awaiting payment, which when it's marked, it will come through automatically for us. There's the invoice we created on the iPad. I'll just show you the layout of that really quickly. It's very similar to the quote in terms of the header and the customer information, because it's from the same document theme that we mentioned earlier on. And then just the layout on this is slightly different. So a bit more information in this particular one. And then section for all your payment details, and as many terms and conditions as you need to be in your invoices can all go in there.
And so if this obviously this is a demo account, so it wouldn't be set up, but if this was a customer client account that had the Stripe integration set up, there'd be a click to pay button on that invoice.
Exactly. As soon as the customer gets the email, jumps in, there'll be a click to pay button.
Great.
Now, you asked earlier on about the staff access, which is obviously super important when you've got so many different members of staff getting access to different things. You don't want them across financials or the ability to change banking details or anything like that. So if we just jump in here and look at what I'm set up on, I'm set up as the admin on this system. So we've got our staff permissions on the right-hand side. And that starts from timesheet and job all the way through to everything else you could possibly want someone to or not to have access to. The minimum requirement for a user to log in and use is job and timesheet. But that would be expected for you need your staff to log their timesheets, keep track of what they're doing on the job. And then you have complete control over how that staff member is notified. So whether we email them, whether we send them the push notification I showed you on the iPad, the same for whoever receives the inquiries as well. So not everyone in the business is going to get them. You can push them straight through to, if you are one of those businesses a little bit bigger and has maybe your own kind of inbound or sales team sitting there who deals with things like that, you can direct it through that way just to them so they can handle it, do the scheduling, and maybe get someone out to site to actually build the quote on the go. And then other updates that can push through to you so you know exactly what's happening as it goes through.
So just there on the confirmations where it says approval confirmation pop up, does that basically say, well, if this person, you in this instance, is a manager, when somebody goes to submit a quote or a proposal or whatever, you have to approve it? You got to check it. Great. Okay.
Exactly. We want you to still have control over the business as much as we want everyone else to be able to go in and help push it forward.
Sure.
Then we've also got our default billing rate, which is how it will apply when we charge out that staff member. Hourly rates. So it's a really simple to set up side of the system there. And you choose when you add and when you remove staff members from the system. It's as simple as clicking this button on and off.
Okay.
That's in your control.
Okay.
Our integrations in here, again, as I say, it's Xero, QuickBooks, MYOB, and now Sage for the UK. Really simple to set up. Our team can help you. If you've got an accountant, they'll be able to help you. It makes life a million times easier, and we'll pull a whole load of information back and forth in the systems so that, again, we're just reducing that admin time and giving you more time to do everything else. All of our document,
And payments would be Stripe, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, this one. No, this isn't more in regards to Stripe and the different type of payments you want to set up with the business through the likes of your Xero, for example, so it's tracking correctly.
Okay.
So we do have Stripe in there, but there's more to it than that itself. And the team the onboard experts who help make sure that when you come on with us, you're not left to figure everything out on your own and provide that 3 months worth of support from the word go, are there to make sure you get every bit of this set up correctly.
Sure.
Like your integration is correct, your payments are correct, your staffs are set up correctly, and the permissions are the ones you want them to have, and not accidentally giving the wrong guy the ability to change his daily rate and suddenly having everyone wondering why he's making more money than him and got a Ferrari. So,
sorry, I interrupted you on document themes. I had a question around documents, so go far away.
All good. Document themes is where we're creating those layouts for the quotes, the invoices, and the purchase orders. Fire away.
The question I had was around knowledge base and like staff documents, how-tos, policies. safe work method statements, compliance documentation, that kind of stuff. Is that all? Is there a place within the app for that?
So at the moment, the only place within the app for those type of documents is to upload them through our notes section. You can also create your own checklist for work health and safety from the tasks section, and we do have a walkthrough on how to do that to make it easy. Okay. We do have a few things in the works though, that if you keep your ear to the ground, you're probably quite happy about.
Yeah, great, cool.
And within here though, we can change the layout of everything, and that's why we've got so many different ones we want to do. So logo on the front, business details, your theme name, and then in here is where we change the setup for everything. So your invoice details, the line items and how they show, the payment details as well, whether or not it automatically sends those payment reminders. And that's the same kind of idea across the quotes, and as I say, the bills and the service reports as well.
Awesome.
From there, that's the general back and forth. We've got our timesheet overview here, which is really easy to access and export, as well as an overall view of the scheduler, what's going on, what's coming up, where you're going from there. And then if you really want to get micro on it, you can set up the GPS and keep an eye on where your guys are every day and what they're getting up to.
And does that run through their mobile device?
It does, yeah. And there's two different settings on there. We get asked this quite a bit. One of them is a high data usage. The other one is not. So we're happy to help you set that up correctly so that there's no major phone bills coming through at the end of the first week and you guys are getting a surprise. So we'll make sure that it's the right setting for you so you don't need to worry about that going wrong. But I think that's everything I was planning on covering off.
Is there a, I know like a lot of guys, especially in like rural areas, they have to, they don't always have internet. Can they create an invoice, while they're out on a job, or can they update an invoice while they're out on a job and not connected to the internet and have an update once they get back into connection?
At the moment, no. You need to be able to connect directly to the cloud for it to work. That like mythical thing that controls all devices these days.
Yeah,
you need to have some sort of
I know this. I mean, the providers even here in Australia, like Telstra, they claim to cover 95% of the country, but I can tell you right now, I've been to every 5% that they don't cover. I feel like I've spent more time there than the rest of it. So
yeah,
it's good.
No, that's something we do get a bit of feedback on that, and it's something that obviously we're constantly taking that feedback on board and see what we can do for it. The one last thing I realized I did want to show you, Matt, sorry mate, was just the financial reporting, because obviously this is a huge thing for businesses, knowing that they're on track. We've been tracking all the costs, we've been tracking all that staff time. We want to know what it looks like at the end of the day. So we can pull it directly from a single job. We can pull it for specific customers. We can pull it for any time period. And I'm just going to pull this one for the month. And I'm going to download that there with the choice of PDF or CSV. I'll choose the PDF because it looks just a little bit prettier. And we know how tradies like things that look pretty. So we'll throw that in there. And the key here is to just give simple information that's clear to the point, like, are we making money? Are we losing money? How did it stack up against our estimate? And have we sent out the invoices to charge for this being done?
Right. I might also have to get you to show us the maybe some of the follow-up processes for sent invoices or sent quotes and that kind of thing.
Not a problem.
So I'm pretty sure you guys have something where it sort of does a bit of automates part of that anyway.
So that's the system chasing the approval and the payments.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see what I download for the full month. Let's just grab a single job then, because that might have been a bit excessive while we're on the video. Options and the job financial report. Okay.
And those fields you just navigated over, are they customizable?
They are completely customizable, yep. So every field can be updated and changed. There's a few standard ones in there you may not want to change because they change automatically, for example. The fact that it's been scheduled, the fact that it's in progress. But other than that, there's complete flexibility in terms of what you want to add on and what you want to take away. And that's the same with, I'll just jump back across a second. That's the same with these sections in here that I mentioned. These can be changed as well. And the way they show on the job sheet, the job list, is in here.
Oh,
So some businesses I know are using that for when the materials have been ordered, for example, but haven't been delivered yet. So they'll have like waiting in terms of the waiting for the goods coming through. A couple of unexpected businesses using the system. We're using it for the location of their skip bin delivery. Like, is that one out in field yet, or is it waiting for changeover? So it becomes a really flexible system in that sense.
yeah. Well, it's almost like a pipeline.
Yeah, exactly. So you know where it's at, what's happening next, and where you're going.
Yeah.
And if you've got enough hours in the day to book more people in for the coming weeks, because obviously you want to get more jobs, but overdoing it is not going to be helpful. But we'll jump onto this financial report real quick.
Yeah.
This is a breakdown, just a single job that we've got in here. The time, materials, and totals is split up for you. That way you can view across all of it where you're actually making the most money. The orange is for the amount that's still to be invoiced. Once it's been done, that nice big green bar will pop up instead, which looks much prettier because it's sent off waiting on some money coming through.
So hang on. So this job hasn't been invoiced yet.
This job hasn't.
Okay. And if it had, it'd be green.
Exactly. And we can show the change real quickly. Let's jump in here. Just grab everything. That one. Fire that off for us. Cool. Jump back to the job number. And thankfully, because we're only in a single job and not in a month's worth of jobs, this will pull up nice and quickly. That should have some more green in it. We've got that tiny, tiny little bit of green popped up in there because it's only $30 worth. That wasn't the best example in the world, was it?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No worries. Apologies for that. I'm hoping we've got a better version there. It's been invoiced. So that's the other thing. So we can actually go through the stage of the job here to find something specific. So if we go to something that's been completed.
And are there reminders and things that you can set up for those various stages?
Not reminders for the stages themselves, no. But the system does keep an eye on where things are at as such. So all the reminders for the job that's coming up all go out automatically. You can also use the notes to tag different people and get in touch with them if there's a next stage of a job that needs to be completed, if something needs to go back into the office to be done. If you create a note and tag someone within that, that will notify them in the office that the next stage is ready to be done. There is still a little bit of, you have to keep an eye on your business in order for this to work for you. But it is available there for you. And here we have that nice big green bar that I was looking for before.
Yeah.
So that means you've got a good overview of how much we've actually invoiced for and where the cost breakdown was. So in this case, we made a nice little bit of cash.
Yeah.
Much better than the $30 we had in the last one. So out with that, we are here to support everyone throughout the entire process. You're not getting left on your own. And as you mentioned, we have the 50% off for the first 3 months available to all the SiteShed listeners. So with that in mind, there's no reason not to get your business to the next stage now. You know, not.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's great. It's such a, man, it just does so many, just relieves so many pain points. It's funny speaking to people that have been using the tool for such a long time, and it's probably a testament to a lot of cloud products as well. Xero being another one. If businesses have been set up with them from the beginning, and I imagine Tradify is the same, and they don't know any different, it's almost comical how much they don't understand the pain points of people that aren't using them. And like, we go through this a lot with clients for like they might be using Google Workspace, and we're just like, oh God, if you guys only knew how painful server-based emails were back in the day and filing cabinets. But what's a filing cabinet?
Yeah. And there's so many people still doing it that old school way and have been for so long, that if they take the leap and they trust in technology for a minute in that sense, like the time it will save them and the opportunity they'll have will be fantastic.
And I think for the better part, like it's that realization for most business owners when they understand, okay, well, if we're going to whatever it might be. If we're going to grow, if I want to potentially sell the business, if I want to remove myself from parts of the business, then that's when the penny drops. They're like, I need to stop doing it this archaic way, and I need to adopt some sort of technology. And like, I think a demonstration like this, I hope, would certainly ring home with a lot of people that are viewing it, so they can kind of, put themselves in the picture.
Exactly. And if you can think as well, the amount of money that you can make for your business with an extra, say, 4 or 5 hours a week, if
Right.
that's more than $39 per person who's working that 4 or 5 hours a week, then it's already paying for itself.
Yeah.
Like, it's that straightforward in terms of a cost to value comparison.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. All right, great. Well, once again, guys, so if you'd like to go and check Tradify out, as Mick just alluded to, you can get hold of the a special offer they've given for you site shed enthusiasts out there. And you just need to use the code, which I'm going to drop in the screen again just below here. But essentially, if you head across to tradifyhq.com, if you head across to your app store, download the app, sign up for the trial, and then at the checkout point there, you'll be able to enter it. You'll be able to enter that code, and then you'll get access to the 50% discount for 3 months, which is huge. If you have any questions, by all means, wherever you see this, if you see it in our Facebook group, then you can ask questions within that thread directly. You're more than welcome to DM me, ask me questions, and I can get Mick back on a call to answer anything specific that you might have, I'm sure. Mick, and on that note as well, it'd be good if you, as the product evolves and as the platform's evolving, which it always is, which is another great thing about Tradify. You're always improving it. I love that. I'd love to get back in and see some of those changes, as they happen, so we can sort of add to this little repertoire of how Tradify works.
Would love to.
Is there anything else, mate, before we close out?
I don't think so. Get on, give it a go. You've nothing to lose by giving it a go. So at least jump on there, play with it. There is a trial period available with no obligation for 14 days. So there's nothing stopping you from finding out what I can do for you.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Mick. And that is a wrap.